I am going to cut and raise by talking about building family foundation. And the dictionary or the Google these things help us to be able to understand meanings. As I was trying to understand the meaning of foundation, this is what I figured out, that the foundation is the first thing of anything. If you're talking of a building, the foundation is the first thing that is dug to establish a building. If you choose marriage, dating and courting is going to be the time you should be able to study this person. And the guys who are dating, the young men and women, and even older people who could be dating, gone are the days when you are asking the person, which is your favorite color, which is your favorite dish. If you find yourself asking such questions to the person you intend to marry or get married to, you need to go a notch higher. The questions you should be asking this person are, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you have family trauma? You know, where you're coming from. Was your father, mother present? Do you have mental health issues where you come from? Because that is the real deal. Are we clear? The young girls who are dating, please know that swag will not pay bills. Are we clear? And the young men who are here, you need to understand, a beautiful frame will one day grow old. You need someone who can sit down with you and discuss tangible business ideas that are going to help you to become a better person. That is the foundation. And I was telling the morning service, if you date right, you will marry right. If you date wrong, chances are you may marry wrong. And if you're broken, you're likely going to attract broken. So before you think of even getting into a relationship, because a relationship is what leads into marriage, you need to first of all work on fixing yourself and asking yourself, what am I bringing? What am I offering? You even need to find out from this person, if you die like today, would we have problem laying you to rest? Is there anything in your bank account? You know, nasisemi ati tukue so, I'm not saying that we become so focused on material things, but seek to understand this person deeper. Foundations are phenomenal. The foundation of this church is what makes sure that this church has no cracks. This church will not collapse because the foundation is right. So if you start your family, your relationship, your marriage on the right foundation, then chances are, even if the stormy weather does come, even if storms do come, you will be able to stand still and push on to the next level. The Bible has been read to us from the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3:10. And my understanding of what was read to us is that those of us who are in relationships, those of us who lead, in this case, the leaders of the church elders and the pastoral team, those of us who lead, we have to be very careful because the foundation that we lay, our works will be tested. And when your work is tested, times will come and the foundation of your marriage is going to be shaken. The question is, can your marriage stand? I like asking men and women this question. If you are sitting next to a man, Ebu muulize. Na umuulize pole pole, because sometimes men can get a bit angry. I'm going to tell you why we get angry. But if you're sitting next to a man, muulize, would you want your daughter to end up with a man like you? Muulize tu. No, simuogope. When you look at yourself, when you look at the way you treat this woman you live with, would you want your daughter to be treated that way? Muulize tu. Do you want your daughter to end up with a man like you? If he did not smile, please tell him, please change. Please change. If you're sitting next to a lady, please ask her, do you want your son? And even if you don't have a son, if God was ever to give you a son, would you want your son to end up with a woman like you? Why is it that the women are more confident than us? So? If you're seated next to a man, Mulisa, what is wrong with us? Why is it that women are more confident than us? What's going on? And Archdeacon, allow me to talk about only 2 things as we cut and raise, because I don't want to preempt. 2 things. And then the series is going to continue up to the 30th of this month. And I want to help you to understand yourself just a bit, who you are. When I teach my students, I make them understand this thing, that human beings are products of their socialization. This is to mean, why do you behave the way you do? You behave the way you do, number one, because you are a product of your mother and a product of your father. You are a product of where you were raised. You are a product of the things you saw, the things you heard, and the things that you experienced. The foundation that was laid for you, that is what makes you to be the person you are. That's why you talk to your wife the way you talk. That's why you talk to your children the way you talk to them. That's why you work the way you work. I was telling the first service this, that the reason why our families, and when I say family here, I'm not just talking about those of us who are married. I'm even talking about those of us who may not be married but belong to families, isn't it? Because even if you're not married, you're a son, you're a daughter of someone, right? You are a grandmother or a grandfather. You are dating. You are single, you're searching. Others say they are single and satisfied. I have met young people who have told me in the line of my work that if marriage ni kama ile ya my mom and my dad, wacha nikae single, niwe nakula Weetabix na lala jioni. Staki makasiriko. Because they grew up in homes where there was too much makasiriko. And as a country, I need to tell you this, that Kenya, as we speak, has been ranked as the 5th most depressed country in Africa. And we are number 9 globally in terms of wale watu wako na makasiriko na hasira mingi sana. Ni kama watu, when you meet someone, it's like people are telling you, nichokoze. We are so edgy, we are so angry, we are so easily triggered that you can even tell someone, nichokoze, you see what I am made of. Because there's so much that we have carried, we are looking for escapes. Are we clear? We are angry with our partners, our spouses, with our government. Mafuta ndio ilipanda jana. We are angry. And I don't know whether you've ever looked at yourself when you're angry. Studies have shown that a human being is capable of having 2 sets of thoughts. One is called rational straight thinking. When you're not stressed, when you're happy, when things are right, you think rationally. But wait until you get upset, my brother, my sister. You switch from rational, straight thinking to irrational, crooked thinking. And that's why when you look at yourself when you're upset, the irrational tells you, nikiongea pole pole, sitasikika. So what do? You raise your voice. You raise your voice at your spouse, at your children, at your people who work with you. When you're stressed, ukiwa na hasira, the irrational tells you, nikifunga hii mlango pole pole, haitafungika. So what do? Bang the door. Because you have negative energies building up inside you. When you're upset, when you're angry, the irrational tells you, nikitembea pole pole kutoka living room, niende kitchen, the irrational tells you, hautafika haraka. So you walk like there's fire in your house. Na saa hiyo umevaa slippers, unagongwa hii kidore dogo hii. Unagongwa na stool, alafu unaangukia meza, unagongwa magoti. And you know how painful it is. The temperatures keep on shooting. You blame everyone. Nani aliweka hiyo stool hapo? Na ni wewe uliweka. When you're upset, when you're stressed, you use your phone to look for your phone. Unaakisha tochi ya simu yako, unatafuta simu yako. Or you look for a bunch of keys and umeshika. That's where we are as a country. We are not okay. Some studies are saying half of the Kenyan population is experiencing some form of clinical depression. Half. If that is the case, then it means if you have a husband or a wife, then one of you could be chewing stress. That is to mean if I divide this church into two, kuna acha niangalia ni side gani nakaa stress sana. Because if in out of every two people, if half of the Kenyan population is experiencing some form of depression, it means 1 in every 2 people could be struggling with that. If you have 2 children, 1 of them could be struggling, if it's not you. And sometimes I see young people coming in for therapy and they tell me, my mother, my father needs therapy more than me. Please talk to them. And in some cases, it's true. That's where we are. Just to take it a notch higher, studies and the statistics are saying, iyo hasira imelemea wanaume sana kuliko wanawake. And I'm going to tell you why. The studies are saying, in this country, because of the way we process our issues, because we are different, the way men process, and men are your husbands, the way women process, and women are your wives, the way men and women process or deal with things is very different. And because of that, the statistics are saying that today in this country, if 10 people die, in every 10 people who die in this country, 8 are going to be men and only 2 are going to be women. Because of how we deal with things, how we deal with issues. And how we deal impacts on the husbands, the fathers, the workers, and the citizens we are. If you're sitting next to a mubaba, a mugai, a mujama, mwambie ni kubaya. Na sijasema you will die, I'm saying you may. In every 10 people who succumbed, Archdeacon, I was speaking at the cathedral, the St. Stephen's Jogoo Road Cathedral, and they had a series on mental health, and I shared with them these statistics. At the tail end of the service, the provost announced that the church has lost 4 members of the church, like they prayed for 4 people who have died, and 3 who were in hospital, 1 in ICU. The 4 dead were men. The 3 in hospital were men, no woman. And they were saying, how real? In every 10 people who succumb in this country, 8 are likely going to be men, only 2 are going to be women. During the COVID-19 pandemic, it was confirmed that in every 10 people who died out of COVID, 7 of them were men. And only 3 wa women. If you're a married man and you're married to a woman, please raise your hand. My hand is up. I am married to Esther, and she said hello. Esther and I have 3 children. If you're married to a woman and you're a man, raise your hand. Sawa sawa. Praise the Lord, brothers. Studies are saying, if you're married to a woman and you're a man, and you do not take care of how you deal with issues of mafuta, which is at 195, if you don't deal with issues of your health, the things you put here and here, the stress that comes from your work, the stress that comes from you feeling like you're not complete and feeling like you're not significant, the stress that comes from going to the mirror and then realizing that all of a sudden there are gray hairs that are growing here, unangoa na tweezers zinamea zingine tano hapa. If you don't deal with that stress, in other words, if you don't deal with the daily things that we deal with, you may die before your time. And I'm not saying you will, I'm saying you may. Meaning, if you do things differently, chances are you will survive. But if you don't, if the status quo remains, if we continue being the men that we were socialized to be, then you may die before your time. And this is even sadder. Your dear wife is likely going to outlive you. Outliving means living after you. Outlive you for between 25 to 35 years. Sayo umeenda ukiadaga, brother. And you cannot even turn in your grave. And if you make a mistake of going when you're young and you leave your beautiful wife, my brother, people will take over from you so fast. Possibly the chairman of the funeral planning committee will pick up from you. If you're sitting next to a guy, if you're sitting next to a mubaba, mwambie brother, nikubaya. Where Archdeacon comes from, they would say tikwega. Tikwega. And the state of our nation, the state of our mental health is impacting on who we are, whether you like it or not. And I just want to, in this very brief sermon that I have for you, to help you understand how you behave, why you behave, and then see what is it that you can do, such that if there was some faulty things that happened when you're mixing the cement as you are laying the foundation of your relationship, we see by the grace of God, because I know there is a God in heaven, what we can do to be able to remedy the situation. Okay? Bwana asifiwe. Uliza mwenzako, are we still together? Muulize, by the way, ulisema, why do you behave the way you do? Ulisema nini? Ulisema nini? So you are a product of your socialization. You are a product of the people who raised you. And again, numbers do not lie. Statistics are saying, those homes we are saying, that is where we grew up in, those homes, unfortunately, studies have consistently shown that more than 50%, some studies even say more than 70% of the homes where we grew up in, where the foundation, because this is what we say, you are a product of your mom and your dad, isn't it? When you grow up, when you become older, you meet someone, and then you settle down in marriage. So initially you are a product, but now what do you become? You become a producer. Before you become a producer, you are a product. But the producer you become is going to be informed by the product that you are. Archdeacon kwao huwa wanasema, ugali hutoka kwa unga. Meshika hapo? Sasa ambia mwenzako, tuseme wewe ni ugali. Mwambie tu hivyo. Tuseme wewe ni ugali. Change the narrative. Mwambie mimi ni ugali. Mwambie hivyo, mimi ni ugali. Muulize, ukiniangalia hivi, nakaa kupikwa na unga gani? When you look at me. Praise and worship walijisamea kutoka asubuhi, wao ni hostess. Nyinyi ni kina nani? Kisiagi. Atia ni kisiagi kitu strong kabisa. Wale wanasema ni kafahara raha premium, you know. That's it. The ugali you become is dependent on the flour that made you. Are we clear? So in this case, the unga is where you were raised. What were you told? The things they told you. How did those things make you feel? Because unfortunately, I'm going to say this. Most of us, the first bullies we experienced were our parents. Sadly and unfortunately. They broke us. Sadly. But again, I'm not here to blame them because people do things based on the awareness they have right then. They raised you and I the best way they knew how. Unfortunately, some of the things we went through may not be our fault. But here is the thing. Whatever you went through may not be your fault, but healing is your responsibility. You cannot keep on using how you were raised as an excuse. Ati mimi nakuanga hivo. I don't talk to people. And then you marry a woman and the women talk. If you want to live with a woman, you may as well teach yourself how to listen, because they will talk and talk and talk and talk. Kama si hivyo, jichunje ukae single. Ecclesiastes says very well, there's a time and a season for everything. If you're single, stay like a single person. Don't want to live like a married person. Now, ukikuwa married, my brother, my sister, you choose marriage, stay like a married person. Learn how to be a married person. Teach yourself to be a married person. And every time you see two married people smiling at each other, every time you see what looks like a functional marriage and a functional family, wacha nikwambie, the amount of work that has been done there is immense. Because marriage is not 50-50. It is 100%. You have to give you 100% and I give 100%. Kama huwezi, tafadhali, kaa single. If you choose marriage and relationships, you have to choose work. Because it's work. Living with a woman who is not even your sister. And even if it's your sister, it's still, you're different. And then living with a man. And then some of us men have been given names of animals. And we lived in the ukienda kwa kina Archdeacon unakuta mtu anaitwa Nyamo. Nyamo is an animal. Mwingine anaitwa Jogu. Jogu is an elephant. Mwingine anaitwa Bogo. Bogo is a buffalo. Mwingine anaitwa Kengangi. Kengangi is a crocodile. Kuna mwingine anaitwa Murodhi, you know. Na Gare, you know, Gare is a leopard. Alafu ukuje you're a woman, ati umekasirika, ati uambie godha bunigonge na hii ni Nyamo. Is it? And he lived in Eden with Nyamo. Tagongwa. So you might as well teach yourself to live with this what? This animal called man. Otherwise, so back to, we are products of our socialization. We are raised by parents, and these parents sometimes damage us, but they don't know they are damaging us. It's because they are also damaged. Have you ever heard of this narrative? Hurt people hurt others, right? Sad people make others sad. Demotivated people make other people demotivated. Misery loves company. So they hurt us, so you are hurt. And what happens when you are hurt? If you do not heal from what hurt you, you bleed on people who did not cut you. Your mother hurt you, your father hurt you, you did not heal, you get into a relationship, you meet another nyamo that is hurt, right? You hurt each other, and then what happens? You bleed on your children. Those homes we are talking about where we grew up, I've told you what studies have said, that more than 50-60% of those homes were dysfunctional. That is where you had a mother who would tell you the opposite of what she meant. For example, if you are the firstborn, my sister, and your mother wanted you to watch over her younger siblings, instead of her telling you nicely, what's your name, ma'am? Mary Vito. Instead of your mother telling you, Mary, nimeenda mkutano ya wamama, please chunga watoto wangu. Your mother who was hurt, she will tell you, Mary, nimeenda, nikirudi, nikute mumekelea watoto kwa jiko. You know, achidiko ni walikuwa naambiwa muhagera mwana, you know. Kuhagera means kuwekelea kwa jiko. That is your mother telling you to watch over her children. Because of the hurt and the pain, she cannot bring herself to telling you, Mary, my beautiful, lovely daughter, please watch over your siblings. She can't. Because you give what you have. Tell your friend, you cannot give what you don't have. So if heart is all you got, that's what you give. You give what you have. When you're busy washing your mother's cups, and your mother happens to hear those cups zikigongana. When you had the same mother, all of you. Your mother will shout from wherever she is. Vujeni zote, hata zenye ziko kwa kabati mtoe mvuje. Mama yenu ni tajiri atanunua zingine. Kutaka ishione mvuje zote. And then you wonder why you tell your children the same things you tell them, the things you tell them. I was telling my children how we would clean our uniforms. How many clean their uniforms? But when you're being reminded, it's not, Mary, please wash your uniform because you need to be smart. Niko naambiwa aje, hiyo uniform hata msioshe. Mtanivaa kesho mkienda shule. Mary, na hiyo githeri msiwekee kuni, nikikuja jioni mtanikatakata mnikule. Na leo hata msichote maji, nitakuja na mvua. Na leo hata msioge, don't even shower. Baba yenu akikuja atawalamba mkue wasafi. Ask your neighbor, what were you told? Na useme ukweli. We want you to heal. What were you told? Achitiko niweli ruatia. What were you told? Look at us. We are strong. We are laughing because we survived, right? We survived. But are you going to tell the sons of daughters, oh, hawa ukiwaambia muwekele mtoto kwa jiko, hawa utamkuta kwa jiko, hawa. So you can't raise this generation the way we were raised, isn't it? You can't. Atiwaambie huyu anaenda kampo ati awekelee brother yake kwa jiko. Utakuta ameweka mpaka chumvi. Alafu wakuulize, mama, I thought you were serious, you know. Hawajui mchezo hawa. Hawajui mchezo. I was called the other day by the deputy principal of a certain school. Akaniambia ati, Joseph, I want to teach my sons about the evils of alcohol. Nikamwambia, when you're talking to your children, be very practical, because the generation here leo, they're very bright. And I quite like what he did, because he took 2 glasses, transparent glasses. In one glass akaweka maji, the other glass akaweka vodka. Then they stepped out with the sons and they looked for 2 live worms. Worms, you know worms, eh? So when they came back, they put one worm in the glass that had vodka and the other worm in the glass that had water. And after a few minutes, the worm that was in vodka curled up and died. And then he was confident that the message is home. So he asks his 2 sons, what are you learning from this? And the youngest son, who is 6, tells the father, Daddy, when I look at this, what I'm learning is, if you drink beer, you'll never get stomach worms. Hawa alafu wabia wekele mtoto kwa jiko hawa. So he calls me and asks me, what do you do from there? Kumwambia pambana na hali yako. Hao ni watoto wako. Deal. Deal. Debrief. If you grow up in a home where emotional unavailability was normalized, and some of us grew up with fathers who are present but not available. They are there, but they don't say much. If you grew up in a home where emotional unavailability was normalized, as a guy, as a lady, you may struggle to connect with your partner in marriage. So you have to deal with that, because you may normalize what was normalized kwenu. If you're a lady and you grew up without a father figure, and you did not have a prominent male figure in your life, there's a likelihood that you may develop what we call father hunger. So even when you get a husband, you may find yourself struggling so much because you're looking for 2 things in this person. You're looking for the father you never had, and you're looking for a husband. Now, this guy can only be one thing to you. He can only be your husband. He cannot be your what? Because maybe he does not even have a child. And even if he had, he doesn't know how to raise a grown woman. Are we clear? So it's you to deal with your father issues. Because if you don't deal with them and you bring them in your marriage, kutakuwa na kizungumkuti. You will find yourself consistently calling. You're snooping through his phone to find out who else is he talking with, because you don't want to lose him the way you lost your dad, the way you disconnected with your dad. The same thing if you're a guy and you grow up without a mother, or if you have a mother. I was talking to this gentleman who is a lawyer, and he was telling me how the mother favored their firstborn, and him as a secondborn, and the sister as a lastborn. They could see outrightly that the mother is favoring the firstborn. The bicycle was his. The wardrobe was his. These other children grew up feeling like insignificant children in their own house. Because of that mother hunger, this gentleman tells me, my wife can't hurt a fly. She's an amazing woman, but I don't know why I consistently cheat on her. And I told her, what you're looking for is not the intimacy. What you're looking for is not the sex. What you're looking for is the mother that you never had. And every country he goes to, he leaves a child. He has international children all over. He's trying to plug in with women, looking for what he never got from his mother. Thankfully, he got to understand his wounds. And as we are speaking, his marriage is functioning. But now there's a burden of having to take care of the international children. But and I was telling him, you are dealing with the situation the best way you knew how. Now you are aware why this is happening. Because of not getting the attention of the mother, any woman who was smiling at him was a mother to him. The needs were being met, and there was a temptation of taking it to the next level. Unfortunately, this is what happens. If you're broken, you attract broken people like you. So most of the women he was attracting were broken, who also had issues with father figures. So it's trauma bonding. You find that the women are looking for a man's attention, and the man is looking for a woman's attention. What a combination. If you're sitting next to a human being, mwambie, heal, heal, heal my brother, heal sister, heal, 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 heal. You are a product of your socialization. I was talking to this lady who told me how she keeps on going back to her ex-boyfriends, some of them who have been very abusive. When you look at her history, the mother, every time the mother would punish her, the way you punish a child, the mother would pull her hair, spit on her, call her kinyangarika. And it went on for a very long time. So this made her, when the most important woman in your life, who is your mother, calls you kinyangarika, you believe you're kinyangarika, isn't it? When the most important man in your life says you're useless, you believe that. And I was telling her, the reason why you keep on going back to people who have abused you is because you do not think you're good enough. Because the people who are supposed to make you feel like you're good enough, they made you feel like you're not good enough. So if you're not good enough, you attract not good enough. And this is the thing. We are not saying that is your fate. That's why we are saying, whatever may have happened to you may not be your fault. But my brother, my sister, you have a role. Healing is your responsibility. Uliza mwenzako, unaona kama umebeba nini? Because whether you like it or not, you bring something. We say behavior is learned, right? And behavior is unlearned. The environment we grew up in taught us behaviors. We learned behaviors. In learning, we learned both functional and dysfunctional behaviors. So it's for us to be able to unlearn the dysfunctional behaviors, because those dysfunctional behaviors are shaking the core, the very core of our foundation. You are a product of your socialization. You need to ask yourself, if your partner was going to give you a nickname, which nickname would they give you? If your children were to nickname you based on how you talk and the things that you do, what would they call you? Uliza mwenzako, unataka kuitwa nani? Because the state of your relationship, however your relationship is, you have contributed. The $1 million question is, what is my role? What is my contribution? Understanding your man, if you're married, will help you understand that when a man is stressed, because of how we are wired, what a man needs is space. When you're a man and you understand your woman, you get to understand that when a woman is stressed, what they need is your affection. Lakini shida ni, mkiwa stressed pamoja, the woman needs your affection, and then you own the space. Inaendanga aje hapo? If both of you are stressed at the same time. But you see, if you don't understand him, if you don't understand yourself, you will think this gentleman is running away from you. No. Wanaume wanakuanga hivyo. It's the way we were socialized. It is said that a man cannot chew gum and cross the road at the same time. One has to stop. Akivuka barabara chewing gum atagogwa na gari. So lazima stop kwanza. Because we operate in boxes in the brain. So what we do, we remove one brain ya kazi, we deal with it, ikishidikana, tukimaliza, tunaifunga, tunachukua ingine, kazi, ama relationship. They can't. We don't know how to multitask. But women can. Anaekelea maziwa, anakanda unga ya chapati, and she's still singing. And all of them are coordinated very well. And in the middle of the singing, there's even intercession prayers. Anaomba. Mungu saidia huyu mtu, huyu mubaba. Then she goes back to singing, na anakanda chapati, na maziwa iko pale. Na kama akona ile 4 bana, pia kuna ugali ya lunch imewekelewa. One human being. You are a product of your socialization. And I want you to ask yourself this question. What were you told? What did you bring? What did you learn from your mother, from your father? Because those things that you brought from your family of origin, you bring them to your family of marriage, and they form the foundation that you lay in your relationship. The second thing, you are either a man or a woman. Tell your friend you're either a man or a woman. And those two people process very differently. And I want to finish by showing you how different we are and how that can impact on the foundation. Number one, before any man becomes the man he is, before the archdeacon became the archdeacon, one day he was a young boy. Before your husband became your mubabas, one day he was a young boy. And he grew up with people. So this is the thing. The way we teach our boys and our girls to process has an impact on who they become. So this is the thing. Boys are cheeky. Boys are going to be punished for misbehaving. When a boy is punished, when a boy is beaten, and they start to cry, what do we tell them? Why are you crying like? Why are you crying like a woman? Why are you crying like a girl? She's saying, you know, that's what she had them being told. Mwanaume hafai kufanya nini? Kwa sababu yeye ni mawe. Yes, si mwanadamu. If you are seated next to a man, please remind him, you are human first. Before you even become male, you are human first. And any human being, whether male or female, we have feelings. If you are sitting next to a man, mwambie, men too have emotions. Na wakiwachwa, kabla wawachike, they feel it. Sindio? Si ukiwachwa? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Still young. So, when a boy cries, they're told, why are you crying like a woman? And they are beaten for crying like women. And when they don't cry, what do? They are beaten again for being hard-headed. What are you telling this human being? So you are punished for expressing how you feel. Ideally, when you're beaten, you feel pain, isn't it? Whether you're a man or a woman, when you're in pain, you feel pain. And ideally, when you feel pain, it's normal to express. But when we tell this person, why are you crying like a woman? You're telling them the only people who should cry are women. And why they cry is because they are weak and they are cowards, right? Otherwise, strong people are not supposed to do what? And that's why this toxic narrative, we have fed it to our teenage boys. And these boys, when they are teenagers, they fall in love with beautiful girls. And sometimes wanawachwa. But because they were told, ukiwachwa, don't cry, don't show. They don't even tell their other brothers that wamewachwa, because akienda ambia huyu amewachwa, watamwambia aje, hey boss, wanamchekelea, ukiwachwa, wachika. Kanyanga, tembeza kiatu, alafu anakuambia oga rudi soko. Is it that easy kuoga kurudi soko? It's okay utaoga urudi soko, but before uoge urudi soko, they forget to tell you, you need to heal, my brother. Because if you don't heal, the pain of the past relationship, you're going to bring it in the next relationship. If you're sitting next to a guy, mwenye anakaa kama hajaoa, mwambie, don't be the reason a woman can't trust a man. Don't be the reason a woman can't trust a man. Because some of us, because of our pain, we are hurting. So our men grow up bottling up our feelings and our emotions. We don't talk, we don't cry. It's no wonder we are dying, because there's a correlation between what we put here and our physical health. There's no health without mental health. If you're sick here, the rest of the body becomes sick. You can't function at work. The boss calls you to the office, explain, show cause why. Unashikwa na stress. Ukishikwa na stress, your body produces something called cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. This cortisol is the reason why we have so many people struggling with acidity issues, ulcers. The other thing is, when boys are young, we buy them toys, isn't it? Which kind of toys do we buy our sons? Toy guns, right? Toy cars, what else? Footballs, what else? Bicycles. Those tools of play also pass a message to them. Na sisemi ni mbaya kununua, they are good. But you also need to know they pass a message. And that's why when my son meets your son outside, mine has a toy gun, yours has a toy gun, wakikutana hapo nje, hakuna salamu. Ni tu. So the question is, who shoots who? The battle is for significance. Who is more significant than who? Who is going to show the other down? When my son has a football and your sons hawana mpira, we live in the same estate, because I have a football, mimi ni mtu mkubwa sana, I call out all your sons hapo nje, na wapangisha laini moja, nagawanyisha timu ngapi? 2. And then these two teams, hata hakuna salamu, these two teams are playing against each other. So which team beats which team? Again, significance. Who beats who? My son has a bicycle, yours has a bicycle, they meet outside here. It is racing against who? Who wins against who? Significance. That's why when teenage boys are together, they see a beautiful girl coming, the battle for significance. Who will get her phone number first? Mwenye naipata ni jogoo wa hii group. Macho. And that's why when you go to where men are, the conversation is about the things that make them feel significant. What makes men feel significant? Winning. When they have a job, they are winning because they have money. So money, work, and their sexuality. That's why, my sister, before you go to bed with this gentleman, you've got to ask yourself, is it about love or is it a conquest? Because maybe it's a conquest. Maybe they've placed a bet on you, my sister. Unapeana roho, na alikuwa anataka mwili. Then you're wondering, why did he disconnect the moment we became intimate? It's because maybe he was out for significance. Lakini sisemi wanaume wote ni kama hivyo. Hawa wa St. Andrews Zimmerman ni majamaa wa nguvu. But women are different. How do we raise them? If a girl is punished by the mother, And fortunately, maybe she has a dad. Na kwanza ikue, she's named after the father's mother. Wacha tu. Ataitwa na babake, analalishwa hapa, anaambiwa pole sana mama, pole sana mama. That brings out what you call the cathartic effect. She continues to cry, and when you cry, whether crying is such a powerful tool to feel okay. It's okay. And I know men cry, but they cry in secret. They do. Kinatoka hapo. Lakini kwa akina Archdeacon where he comes from, wanasema ati machozi ya mwanamume inamwagika kwa tubo. But you know the effect ya kumwagika kwa tubo hiyo machozi, si ndio? It eats you up. Our girls, we raise them knowing it's okay to express. So these men who do not express are supposed to marry these women who express. How will the foundation be, and especially if they don't understand each other? This guy will see a woman crying, he has no idea what to do with her. And when the women are crying and they are stressed, what they need is affection. Ukimuita tu babe, please come. Bas. Lakini umubaba aliona mamake akiitwa babe na nani? Na wakiwa huko na toy guns he will basically handle this woman like the toy gun, you know. It's why, because we are very physical, because we are used to handling physical things. The other thing we buy our boys is toy cars. Na nilikuwa naambia watu wa asubuhi, every man has a dream of owning a car. Ikifika miaka 30, 40 kagari hakakuji, unaanza kupanic. So when your son asks you to buy him a toy car, you get very excited when you go to the supermarket because you feel like you're buying a real car. Ukikuja jioni, unakaa hii side na kijana wako hii side, mnaanza kurushiana kakagari, lakini tukiangalia sana, mwenye anakaa nayo sana si mtoto wako, ni wewe. You're even making those sounds because you're meeting a need. You feel like you should be driving a car. Na kwa sababu haijakuja unapeleka hii. They are called unconscious what? Unconscious needs, and we meet them. We try to meet the unconscious needs. Our girls, what do we buy them? We buy them Barbie dolls, isn't it? We buy them teddy bears. What else? We buy them makeup kits. We buy them hizo vitu za kupika. So unakuta msichana wa miaka 2 ndio anajua kuongea, but she's already talking to her Barbie dolls. We lala hapo, umeongea sana leo, umekula sana. A 2-year-old talking the same way she does the mother talking. One day I went home, our second born daughter alikuwa amepika mayai, imaginary eggs, and she gave me. And as a good father, I had to pretend hakuna kitu imepikwa. I had to pretend I am eating. I took, I ate, I told her very delicious. Then all of a sudden the conversation switches. Kanambia, daddy, hii ni hoteli, lazima ulipie mayai. Nikaenda mfuko, nikatoa, so nikalipa. You know, when she's doing these things, she's talking, she's teaching, she's becoming a social person. These interactions with the imaginary children makes women nurturers, right? That's why they talk. Women talk. And women thrive very well where there are relationships. Now, naona, this person who is relational, aolewe na huyu mubaba ambaye the first thing alikuwa naona mwenzake akifanya ni kushoot na gun. So you can imagine, the woman is expecting some lovey-dovey connection, talking, conversations. Unaongeleshwa na nani na unaongelesha nani? Because the person you're trying to connect with was not encouraged how to express and talk. And it's not his fault. And it's not that he can't talk, but you can provide an environment for him to be able to open up. So women talk. That's where the genesis of their talking comes from. Women become very relational. A study that was done in Harvard University revealed that before one day comes to an end, because of the way women are socialized, before a day comes to an end, a normal woman, kama hawa wa St. Andrews, Zimmerman, kabla siku ishe, wataongea maneno 25,000 before a day comes to an end. Ikikataa kuisha, anamalizia na wimbo. Na kama umekosana, hiyo wimbo ni yako wewe. Ni ya Mungu tu, lakini inaelekezwa kwa nani? Unasikia amesema vumilia roho yangu, majaribu ni kama moto yanayochoma roho yangu. Lakini Bwana naomba unisaidie. Kwa sababu usiponisaidia, it can even kill someone. Those in Central Kenya will be heard singing, Aigimugaga ni agima na otiagima no ni mirimu ya ngoro ya rwarirwo ni aige. You know. That expressing, talking helps. And if you're a woman and you do not express, kuna kashida mahali. Have you ever gone to a place where women are? Have you ever gone to where women are? Meetings zao za fellowship zinachelewa kuanza. Because they have to first of all talk about us and the stress we are giving them. And then there's a way they laugh. Woo! When they are together. Hiyo wakicheka hivyo kwanza wao wakwaya, hiyo stress moja inaondoka. And then they sing. Hiyo stress inafanya nini? Because of their socialization, women like watching, they are very relational and they will watch programs that have relationships in them. That's why women like watching Mexican soaps. Todo sobre Camila, muchacha italiana. You, the mubaba unashindwa, what is wrong with her? It's because she finds peace in relations. And I was telling the morning service, every Mexican soap has a handsome guy called Alejandro and a beautiful girl called Camila. And once in a while, Alejandro anainua Camila, inu, anamzungusha hivi. Mumama wako anakuangalia na jicho moja, anashindwa. Alejandro si mwanaume kama wewe. What you don't know is that your mubabas was born hapa Mathioya na hakuona baba yake akiinua mama yake. And he does not watch the things you watch. When you are watching Mexican soaps, they are watching football and they have a team they support, and when the team is winning, they feel significant. And you know men are for what? Significance. Ambia mwenzako jijue na ujue mtu wako. When you know yourself and you know this person, you'll even sit there when he's watching football. And you teach yourself a few football players. May not be your thing, but these are some of the sacrifices you do in a relationship. Going out of your way. Know yourself. Because when you know yourself, you'll know your struggles. You'll unlearn what you need to unlearn. And the foundation of your relationship is likely going to stand and thrive. Amen? Yeah. God made us different. Hapo tu kuna zingine zinaitwa personalities. You find that kuna wengine, before you see them, you hear them. You know, they arrive with the mouth first. That could be your husband. That could be one of your children. Kabla you muone umemusikia. You need to be able to treat them as who they are. And I want to say this. Happy couples, happy relationships, happy marriages are not the ones who are posting selfies of themselves kissing on social media. Happy couples, happy families are the ones having uncomfortable conversations. Uncomfortable conversations. These are people who are helping each other to overcome trauma. These are people who are having conversations that are geared towards saving their marriages. And I was telling this group, in our places of work, we normally have weekly and even monthly meetings. Sindio, why do we have these meetings? To plan and to evaluate, isn't it? You who is married, you who has a family, do you ever have a meeting to evaluate how we are doing? Do you even understand The 5, you who has a wife, a husband. Do you understand the 5 most important emotional needs for your woman? Unazijua? You as a wife, do you know the 5 most important emotional needs for your husband, who is very different from you? Unazijua? Embuliza mwenzako, which are the 5 most important emotional needs? Hata si zote, mwambie the first most important emotional need. Do you know them? We don't. So you're busy doing your relationship and marriage the way you think, and you're assuming that this person should be happy, and if they are not happy, they are unreasonable. Spend time to understand yourself and why you behave the way you do. And most importantly, understand the impact the family of origin had on you as a person. Understand that if you're a man, if you're a woman, you're different. And these differences, if they are not handled very well, they can cause a lot of discomfort in a relationship. And also you need to understand this one thing. How we were raised is no longer acceptable as an excuse. You can't keep on saying that this is how I was raised. That's why I'm the way I am. And if you're listening to me, you will understand this. That marriages are never destroyed from outside. All marriages are destroyed from inside by our own actions. If your relationship is not functional, whether with your children or with your husband or with your wife, there's a reason. And the reason could be you, the reason could be that other person. Ask yourself, what is my role? What do you think is your role in the situation in your relationship right now? And I know as we speak, there are so many relationships that are in dark places, but I want to encourage you and help you understand that moments of darkness, especially in families and relationships, does not mean that the marriage or the relationship is over. Did you hear that? Moments of darkness do not mean that it's over. But it could mean that the marriage needs a new vision. It could mean that the relationship needs a new dream, or the relationship needs a new direction. But unfortunately or fortunately, for you to be able to provide this new direction, you have to change the status quo. You have to try and ask yourself what is going on. If there are things that you think you've carried, baggages from your past, it is your work to not feel bad about them. Don't stop at feeling. Feel, deal, and heal. Tell your neighbor, feel, deal, and heal. You will feel bad about them, but feeling bad won't change. Are we clear? What your mother said, what your dad said, and even what your husband told you, as a result of the anger, won't change. But you feel, and you deal, and you heal. And the last thing I want to say as I bring the curtains down on today's curtain raiser of the family month is that if you want your relationships to thrive, be the person who breaks the cycle. Interrupt the patterns. Interrupt the patterns. Break the cycle. And I want to say this. If you are judged, choose not to judge. If anything, choose understanding. Okay? Amen? If you are rejected, choose acceptance. Amen? If you are shamed, don't shame your children. Don't shame your husband. Choose compassion. Be the person you needed when you were hurting. Not the person who hurt you. And I want us to promise ourselves that as we continue with this family month, that we will vow to be better than what broke us, to heal instead of becoming bitter, so we can act from our hearts and not from our pains. So many relationships are in tatters because people are acting from their pain, not from their heart. Please tell your colleague who is seated next to you, act from your heart. Heart, not the pain. Not the pain. My brother, heal. And then remind them. You need to ask yourself, ukiangalia kwako, ebu muuliza mwenzako, ukiangalia kwenu nyumbani, are you living together or dying together? Muulize tu, are you living together or dying together? Are you living as a family or a group of people connected by blood? No, there's a difference. Yeah. Are you living as a family or a group of people connected by blood? Alafu mwambie ya mwisho, you only have one body. Mwambie, you only have one body. Na hauna spare. So for heaven's sake, live well. Because if you live well, your body is going to be okay. Are we clear? Hakuna haja ya ujipoison because of the toxicity and the issues in your relationship. Fix them. Heal so that you can live longer. Are we clear? The Bible says that how precious and how beautiful it is for God's people to live together. That's the plan of God. And I want to take it home by saying, you only live once, and that once is enough if you live well. My question to you is, are you living well? Uliza mwenzako, are you living well? God bless you.